Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining the training. My name is Sean Porter from Penobscot Job Corps Center and one of the members on the technology training team. Today I will be going over Webex. We invite you to follow along on your own computer to get a feel for what we are talking about and give yourself firsthand knowledge of the program. We will have time at the end of the presentation to hold a Q&A session. As a reminder, these trainings are provided at an overview level. For further assistance regarding the content shared today, please be sure to contact your technology training team representative at your center or by emailing us at technologycsd@gmail.com. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you are all accounted for, so please put your first and last name with your Job Corps Center in the chat box. With that said, we can get started, and the first thing that I really want to touch on is making sure that we are logging into Webex outside of Citrix, copying our links and pasting them into a Google Chrome browser outside of Citrix. A lot of times people will log in through a link that they got in their email while they're still inside of Citrix, and there's a communication error between your Citrix desktop and our microphones and webcams when we are going to log into one of those trainings or meetings, either in Webex, Lifesize, Google Meets, any of the conferencing apps or applications. So the most important thing is to make sure that we are copying those links from our email going outside of Citrix and pasting those into a Chrome browser outside of Citrix. With that said, I'm going to share my monitor and we can get started. So there's a lot of issues that arise by us not logging into Webex and setting up our account correctly. We may not have our password, and having our Webex account and the password for our Webex account is really important because it saves a lot of time and hassle when you're trying to log into a training. So the first thing that you want to do is outside of Citrix, open up your Chrome browser and go to webex.com, and that's going to bring you to their front page. You can easily sign in by going to the sign in option. When you click on it, it's going to drop down that menu for you to sign in. So you can put in your Job Corps email address. And then what I do is I copy my email address because for whatever reason, once you hit sign in, it's going to ask for your username again. And if it doesn't pop up, I usually just paste it in. Then I'm going to click next. And that's going to bring me to my password. Now, some of you may not know what your password is because the account was created for you by JCDC. So what you're going to do here is you're going to hit forget password, and then you're going to get an email with a, I believe it's a 6-digit code that you're going to paste into the prompt on this the following screen. And then once you put that code in, it's going to prompt you to put it in a brand new password. I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. And this is going to be the Webex homepage on the web browser. And it's really important that we know how to access this for meeting recordings. It's a good place to check if you have any meetings coming up. You can schedule meetings here, and you can make different changes to your Webex account through the web browser. So it's really important that we all know how to access the web browser version of Webex. As you can see here, we can start a meeting, and when you start a meeting, what's going to happen is it's going to actually open up a Webex meeting inside of your personal room. So think of this as like your office. So you have your office that you reside in on campus. When you hit start a meeting, that's essentially what it's doing, is it's opening up the door to your office so that other people can come in. So when you click on start a meeting, it's going to open up and you're going to see that it says Sean Porter's office up at the top here. For yours, it may say your name, personal room. I changed mine to my office to make it a little bit more understandable for the audience, and I like the fact that I could change the name of my room. And then you would just simply click Start Meeting, and what that's going to do is it's just going to bring you to a normal Webex meeting room. I'm going to do that real quick. And then there's some things that I want to go over quickly in here, like unmuting and muting your microphone. You can start your video. You can share applications. So when you hit share, you're going to see that you can share your whole screen. If you have two monitors, you can choose which screen you want to share. You can share the different applications that you have open. So as you can see here, I have Google Chrome, Windows Media Player. I have the Webex app as well. I have Life Size that I could share, among some other things. Now, I want you to pay close attention up here underneath where it says Share Content, where it says Optimize for Text and Images. If you want to share video through Webex, your best bet is to click on that drop-down menu and go to Optimize for Motion and Video. And that's going to, as you can see on the right side, you have this new option where it says Share Your Computer Audio. That's going to give you the ability to share audio that's playing through your computer. So if you have a video that you wanted to show to other people inside of your meeting or training, that's going to give you the opportunity to do that. And if you don't have that option clicked, it's usually a lot more difficult to share those videos, and sometimes the audio won't actually translate to the audience. You may have heard me mention something about recording at the beginning of the video, and that's this button right here that says record. Sometimes if you don't see the option down in this menu here, if you click on the three little dots, which is more options, sometimes it resides in there. And then you have your participant window, you have your chat window. And something that I've noticed while giving these trainings through the training platform, which I'll get into a little bit later, is that you have the option to pick who you want to chat to. So you can chat privately with an individual, or you could chat with the whole group. And that would be this drop-down menu where it says to, and as you can see, it says everyone. If I had more people in this session, I would have the option of sending a message to one of those people, but this is one that I just opened up, so obviously there's no one in this meeting room. Something else that I wanted to point out before I move on is the audio and video. So you can unmute yourself down here, but you also have the ability to go up to audio and video, and then you can switch your audio, and then you also have speaker and microphone settings. When you click on that, that's going to give you the option to pick where you want the audio, so your speaker and your microphone, where you want those to be coming from. So I'm going to end this meeting, and then we're going to go back to our home page on webex.com. The next thing that I want to show you is how you can schedule a meeting. So you're going to simply hit schedule, and then this is where you would schedule a meeting that you would like to have with other staff members, maybe some students, and you would just put in your topic title there. As you can see, there is a password. You can refresh. I guess I have to put the title in there first. You can refresh the password. You can change the password to however you would like to have it. So if you want something simple, that would be easy for maybe students to remember on the day of the training or meeting. You can do that. I tend to just leave it for the auto-generated password. And then what you're going to do is you're going to obviously set your time and day by just clicking on the option here. And then you can change your duration, how long it will be. So you can have it for 10 minutes. You can have it for an hour. I'm just going to click done. And then you can also put in your attendees, so whoever you would want to come in. So you could put in your own email. You don't have to put in your own email. You can put in whoever is in the Job Corps network. We can look up names here too. So pretty much every person in Job Corps has been put into Webex, so their emails should pop up for you. The student ones, if I remember correctly, have not been ported over into Webex, so you may have to put those in on your own. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And I'm just going to simply hit cancel because I don't need to schedule a meeting right now. The next thing that I want to show you is where the recordings are kept. So on your left side of the screen, you can see that it says Home, Meetings, and Recordings. When you record a session, whether it's through Webex meetings or it's through Webex trainings, all of those trainings or meetings are going to be stored underneath this window. And as you can see, I've put a few here. So this is where you're going to access those trainings and be able to share them. So you can click on those, and they're going to open up into a new window. And then you can watch those from there. And then if you look over on the right side, you can see that there's some other options here. You have your download, which is the little arrow pointing down. That's going to allow you, when you click on it, it's going to download. And you can see that it's downloading on the left-hand side of my screen. And then you can also share that as well. So you can put someone's email in here, but what I usually do is I just copy the link and then I email that to someone. And what's going to happen when you email that, when you paste that link in, is it's going to give all the information. So it's going to give the password, it's going to give the link to the recording as well. And what I usually do is I just hit enter so that they see that that is a link. And then you can format it however you like. I don't like the password being up top, so I usually cut that out and then paste it below. But again, that's just my personal preference. And then you can edit the title of that training, and you can also delete it by clicking on the little circle with the 3 dots in it. So when you click on edit, it just gives you the option to edit the topic name. You can prevent people from downloading it. And then you can also include or not include the chat, the Q&A sessions, the polling, participants, etc. as well. So the next thing that I want to go over will be your actual meetings themselves. So with COVID and restrictions and meetings all being done mostly online, sometimes it can be a little confusing on when you have a meeting, and if the meeting didn't go into your Outlook, sometimes it can be hard to remember when those meetings are. So what's really nice about this feature is that you can see all of your upcoming meetings. So when you click on meetings, it brings you to this window, and then you have the option to click on the dates here, and it opens up this pop-up window, and then you can pick the range by clicking on that day's date and then going to however long you need to. clicking OK. And then that's going to show me all the meetings I have scheduled from 3/22 until 4/30 of 2021. So the next thing that I want to go over is using the desktop application. I'm going to show you how to download that and how to properly use that application as well. So the easiest way to get to it is by going to your Chrome browser and then searching for Webex meeting download. And then it should be the first result. It will say webex.com with that little arrow that says downloads. And then you'll click on that. And intuitively, we would think that the first one that shows up would be the one that we need to click on. But Webex is currently going through some changes, and they want to combine all of their features into one application. It's not quite ready for that yet. So we're going to skip this download, and we're actually going to scroll down to the bottom of this page where it says looking for a previous app, meetings, and then we're just going to click on download for Windows. That's going to download. It may take a few seconds depending on your internet speed. And then once that finishes downloading, I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open up the installer for that application. So you're going to hit next once this pop-up window comes up, and then you're going to accept the terms in the license agreement, and then you're going to click install. I'm going to hit cancel because I already have it installed, and then once you do hit install and it finishes installing, it'll give you this window, and you just hit finish. And that is going to give you this little web application. If you look over on the left-hand side of my screen where it says Cisco Webex Meetings, that's what this app is that I have opened over here. And I'm going to bring it to the center of my screen to make it a little bit easier for people to see. And as you can see, it kind of has some of the same features that the web application had. You can start a meeting, which is going to bring you to your current meeting room. Sometimes it may say return to a meeting. So if you already have a meeting going and your application open, if for whatever reason you don't see it down in your toolbar down here, you'll be able to return to that meeting by clicking that button where it says return to meeting. And then you can also schedule your meetings from this application too. So when you click on it, it does bring you directly to your web application. So that's why it's really important that you guys know what your password is, and if you need to actually set your password to do that, so that you can access the app and the web version of Webex. Something else that I thought was really cool is that you can paste a meeting link in here. So if I go, I'm going to make a meeting real quick. I'm going to put my name in here. I'm going to change the time. Click schedule. So I'm going to get an invite for this meeting. So I'm going to go to my inbox. So when you invite someone or you've been invited, you're going to get an email that kind of looks like this. And when you scroll down, you're going to see that there's a meeting link. So you can copy this link by highlighting it, right-clicking and clicking copy. I'm going to minimize that, and then I'm going to paste this link into Webex Meeting and click Join. And that's going to bring up that meeting that I just created. Another way that you can do it is there's an access number or access code or meeting number. And you can copy that as well and put that in there. And that's going to bring you to the same spot. And then if it does ask you for a password, that password is also included as well down here. So now that I'm back to my app, you'll notice that it gives me a list of the upcoming meetings. So this makes it a whole lot easier and less steps to go through to figure out if you have a meeting that day or any upcoming meetings throughout the week. If you know that you have a meeting and it's not showing up, you can simply just hit refresh, the little circled arrow there, and that's going to give you a list of all those meetings that are going on. So the next thing that I want to go over is kind of the process of joining what we're currently in. So what I just showed you was Webex meetings, but the platform that we're using right now is called Webex trainings. So it's a little bit different, and for someone that's scheduling a training session, it gives you a little bit more control on what your attendees can do, what your presenters can do, which is why it's a valuable tool for when you're giving training sessions. But it can be a little confusing for the attendees. So I'm hoping that this will kind of clear it up for people. And I know that some of you may have had issues getting in here. So the idea behind this training was to help future people that may have just joined the organization or kind of avoid these trainings because they don't quite understand how they work. So I created a test training session, and that's what this email is that we're looking at right now. And these are probably pretty similar to the invite link that you guys received to join this training. So as you can see, this came from Webex. Usually with the technology training team emails, we send them out from me, and I just copy the information that's in here. But it's all the same information. So you can see that it has a topic, who the host is, the date, time, and etc. And then you're going to see that it says to register for this training session, go to this link. So you're going to want to copy that hyperlink and then open up a Chrome browser, paste that link in there, click enter, and that's going to bring you to the registration page. So then you're going to put in your information where it says registration information. So I have my name, my first and last name, and then my email address. And I do want to stress that it's important that we use our Job Corps email because that makes it a lot easier for the presenters and the hosts to track who's who and look them up later on and be able to get that information to them. It also lessens the steps that you may have to go through to register and join that training. It also makes it a little bit easier to track those individuals, and it just makes it a lot easier for yourself as well. So now that I have my information in here, I'm going to go ahead and hit register. And that's going to send me another email. Giving me the information on how to, I believe it's this one, how to join that training session. I'm going to put that in my training box. So this email is confirming that I've registered for the event and that my registration has been accepted. And that's another reason why it's important to use your Job Corps email, because we try to limit these training sessions to individuals inside of the Job Corps network and CSD. So that makes it a little bit easier for us as well. And then it's going to give you some instructions on how to join that training session. Now, unlike with the meetings aspect of Webex, This link cannot be copied into the web app. So this is the computer application, the desktop application. So this one, we are going to have to right-click and click on Hyperlink. I'm going to minimize my Outlook there, and I'm going to go into my Chrome browser. I'm going to open up a new tab, and then I'm going to paste and go to that link. And that's going to bring you to this page, and depending if you're logged in or not, it's going to give you the option on the right side here to join. Mine says start because I'm the one that created it, so it recognizes that I'm the one hosting this meeting. But yours should say join. If there isn't any, if it may not look like this depending if you've logged in or not. It may ask for your name, your email address, and then you can click join. Sometimes it asks for a password as well. So just be prepared with that information. And that information is all listed inside of your email. As you can see, I have my session ID number, and then I have my password. I believe the last time that I attempted this, it did work. So we do have a session number, so I should be able to put that and join a meeting on the web app. I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. No, so they have deactivated that portion, so no. We cannot join training sessions from there currently. I do know that they're trying to work on a resolution for that issue. So that's how to register and join a Webex training session. The next thing that I kind of want to go over is the actual interface of the Webex training platform. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my training window, my session window here. And everybody should see what it looks like from my point of view. So if you're hosting a training session, it's going to look pretty similar to this. If you're joining it, I believe it only gives you session information, which would look like this. So if it does look like this, and you want to access your microphone and you don't get the pop-up at the beginning, how you can turn your mic on is by going up to audio, and then speaker, there you can go to audio conference, and then it will give you an option on how to call from the phone, and it's going to give you some information, an access code, so that it links your name to the microphone. So if you look on the right side here, you know, if Amy Sear had called in using a phone, it would give me a little symbol here. Instead of the computer, it would show a telephone. So that makes it a little bit easier to see who's talking, to be able to mute the microphones too. And it links it back to that person. And then you can also call using the computer. I would leave this audio conference to show you, but that's going to kill my audio and you won't be able to hear me. So usually there's an option here. So let me hide the use phone. There's an option here that says, I believe it's green, that you would click on, and that would access your webcam's microphone or a speaker's microphone or a headset. The next thing that I want to talk about is sending messages to the correct people. So not all of the time the host is going to be the presenter. Sometimes the presenter is going to be someone else. So it's important that you're sending those messages to the correct people. Now, your chat box may be a little bit different than mine, but it all kind of follows the same concept. So you can see that it says send to, and then you can click on that drop down menu, and then you will see that you can send to host, presenter, host and presenter, host, presenter and panelist, or all participants, or all panelists. So a panelist is anybody inside of the panelist section up here. So ideally, you should be sending any of your chat messages directly to the panelists, so anybody inside of the panelist section. That way, it's getting to the correct people that need to answer those questions that you may have. So that was the overview of Webex. If there's any questions that anybody has, please feel free to put them in the chat box, and I will be happy to answer those. Okay. So I'm not seeing any questions, but how do we get an account? So JCDC has set up all Job Corps email addresses with an account. So if you have a Job Corps email address, you're going to put your Job Corps email address into the sign-in. So I can share that again. So you're going to go to webex.com, sign in, put in your Job Corps email address, and then click next. Oh, let me sign out here. Recognize that I was in. So I'm going to put my name. So once you put in your Job Corps email address and you get to this page that asks for a password, you're going to click on Forgot Password, and then it's going to send you a code. I'm just going to do it here really quickly. So you'll get an email with a reset code. You can copy that code, paste that in there, and then it's going to ask you to generate a new password. So I'm just going to do that real quick. And then I'm going to hit save and sign in. Oops. You're very welcome. Yeah, so it's not just for if someone forgets, it's also, that's how we had to set up our account. So JCDC did set these all up for us. I'm not sure if they used our Citrix password originally, but that's how we were able to access them. So we have another question. Is there a time limit as to how long each meeting can last? So there is, but it's super long. I believe the last time I checked, it was 900 straight hours. that you could have a meeting go through our Job Corps accounts. If we don't use a Job Corps account, I believe it's only 50 minutes that those meetings can last, but with our Job Corps account, we can have up to 900 straight minutes of a meeting. I don't suggest that, but the option is there. Amy Sear is asking to speak, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute her. Go ahead, Amy.
Hey, Sean. I just can't see your chat box. I can see the chat where you asked me to take notes, but I can't see your chat box. So I'm trying to write down these questions and answers as quick as I can.
Yeah, that's fine. They're coming to me privately, that's why.
Okay.
So while we're waiting for if there's any more questions, there's a couple things that came to mind. So I'm going to share my session window again. And some of the features that people like with Webex, with Life Size, is that people can raise their hands. And we do have an option in training, Webex training, to be able to raise our hands too. So you can see that there's a raise hand option here, and then you can see that my hand is raised. There's yes and no, so if someone agrees with something, if I ask a question, we could all check yes or no, and that's going to show up as well. And then there's also little emojis as well that we can do. What are some of the options here? You can invite and remind others to join. I'm not sure if you guys have that or not. You can clear feedback. You can also check attention as well. That's something else that's kind of neat about Webex trainings, is that you can see when people are or not paying attention. Not that people aren't actually paying attention. Sometimes they're just doing something else. So it just gives you that option. And then we can also, I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to open up another meeting here. So let me share my screen again. I'm going to start this meeting. You can also raise your hand here as well. So if you go to that more options button, I believe, oh no, it's in participants now. So when you hover over your own name, once you open up the participants panel, you can hover over to where it says raise hand. And then that will show the host that your hand is raised. So when I raise it, it kind of stays there, and then I can lower it as well, and it disappears. And end that meeting. Were there any other questions? All right. Is it possible to link a meeting to a YouTube training for participants? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Is it possible to link a meeting to a YouTube training for participants, like sharing a YouTube video? Yeah, so let me start another meeting here. I'll share my screen. So when we go to share, we're going to want to click on that drop-down box and click Optimize for motion and video. And then we're going to go to YouTube. We're going to find the video that we want to share. I'm going back to my Webex meeting here. I'm going to click Share. And then I'm going to go to Google Chrome. And I'm going to play that video. So that's how you would share a YouTube video. You want to make sure that you're, oh, I got a couple screens going here. You want to make sure that when you are sharing videos inside of Webex meetings, that you're having that option optimized for motion and video, because the audio won't go through. You might have a fluke where you didn't do that and the audio did go through, but typically what's happening is that audio is going through your microphone, not the actual computer. Any other questions? Well, if you have any questions later on or something that you run into, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If I don't know the answer right off, I'm pretty quick at finding solutions to any issues that have arisen with WebEx. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Again, thank you for joining the training today, and you all have a great rest of the day. Thank you.